This is a handstand piano, and I recommend you make one if you love handstands, you're progressing towards one-arm handstands, or if you just want to gamify your balance. So you start on one side and then you try as a challenge to go across to the other side. Now this one's super simple. I just grabbed pieces of wood from a hardware store, a long piece that I chopped up into individual blocks, and then I've just screwed or bolted that to the long piece of wood, sanded down the sharp edges, and we're good to go. Or we can just grab a load of blocks, and they could be the yoga blocks, and just make sure you're using the harder ones, so the cork ones are really good, and then you just put them in the line. You could use handstand blocks, bricks, books, whatever you have around you, and then you just do exactly the same thing where you move across. Now the downside with using these is that you could do things like that, and it can be trickier to hold them into position, where with a fixed one that doesn't happen, and you can tend to pull yourself around a little bit more like you can on P-bars. But these definitely do work, and one of the benefits of having the separate ones is that you can change the distance between them and fine tune that. Because if you notice now, look how narrow my hands are. You need to be able to do that if you're doing it in sequence. If you can't balance on a narrow position, you need to start with a bigger gap. Now a bigger gap means that you have to reach more between them. So let's look at the technique now. How am I shifting across to one side? Now if your freestanding balance isn't quite so strong, you can do this chest to wall or back to wall, but ideally it's going to be done freestanding, but get ready to fall over a lot. So I'm going to start off with two blocks very close to each other. I'm going to shift weight to this right side. So I'm going to look down towards this hand, shift across. I'm going to pull my elbow and shoulder in towards the middle as I shift weight this way. What you don't want to do is do this. If I do this, I'm going to fall off the top of the base. I need to make sure that I'm keeping the elbow and shoulder in on top there, and then I'm just going to reach across to this side. And then I'm going to do the same again, shift weight now to the left side, up, and then to this side, and then the same to here. So I can practice that in a push-up position or just with my feet down to get used to that pushing inwards. That's the bit that feels unusual, is that pushing in towards the midline and then reaching to this side. And then when you're ready, you just do it in the handstand. Now it's a bit easier in the straddle position for most people. So there, so we tip across, notice that elbow and shoulder coming in towards the midline, and then I reach across to the other side, and then just repeat. Elbow and shoulder in. So you get the idea. Now if that's way too hard at the moment, you can just practice balancing your handstand on those blocks, so nice and narrow. You can practice being on the wider ones, and then you can either then practice going back towards the middle and back again, so just stay on 2 or 3 blocks. And remember, you don't have to be in straddle, you don't have to be in straight, you could be in a funky position as you do it. Now if you're new to it, I would just play around, mess around, and just have it with the intention of getting from one side to the other side. First of all, just getting from 2 blocks to the next block, and then progressively make your way across. Don't even worry about technique too much. Now if you're a little bit more experienced with the one-arm handstand work, then you can make it very one-arm handstand specific. So when I'm in that start position, I'm going to really focus on shifting all the weight to the right hand, even go up onto fingertips there, float for a second before you go to the next one. Same here, shift all the weight to the left side, fingertips, and then just float for a second before you go to the next block. So you're actually practicing little one-arm handstand holds, as you go to the next one. So in that respect, this could be a drill that's going to really help you towards your one-arm handstand. Let me know if you tried these lateral shifts before. Let me know if you have any questions on it down in the comments. If you're after help with your training, check out my app, link is down in the description, and I'll speak to you next time.